I didn't know silence could be a decision until he made it one. The night before he disappeared, Luke fell asleep with his glasses on and a book face down on his chest. We'd argued about dinner. Petty, forgettable. And then watched a documentary until it bored us both into truce. I remember thinking we were a normal couple in a normal lull. I remember kissing the corner of his mouth and tasting toothpaste. He must have already known. I cheated once. That sentence should be a period. I keep wanting to add clarifying clauses that make me sound less awful. It was after a fight. I was drunk. It was a person I'd known before. But all of that is garnish on poison. I cheated with someone I met at the climbing gym. A man with forearms like he borrowed them and a laugh that tripped every wire I didn't know was still strung. It was 2 hours and a terrible idea, and the first thing I thought afterward was, I need to tell Luke, and the second was, if I tell him, I lose him. So I lied by omission, and then by habit. I stopped wearing the necklace Luke gave me at Christmas because the clasp touched my collarbone like a finger pointing. I left one strand of hair I knew wasn't mine on a hoodie that wasn't his. I was a burglar in my own house, leaving evidence on purpose so I'd get caught and wouldn't have to do the catching. He found out because I am a coward and technology is nosy. My iPad is hooked to our living room TV for streaming. When you AirPlay a photo album, say the one from your gym summer party, it remembers that setting. The next night, while I chopped onions, I AirPlayed a reel from Instagram to the TV without thinking. A clip from the gym scrolled past, and then a live photo I'd forgotten I took. Him and me in the parking lot. Blinked to life with audio. 2 seconds of sound. A man's voice in my ear, my own laugh I don't recognize. Luke didn't say anything while it played. He paused the TV, walked to the kitchen, turned the stove off and said, I'm going to the hardware store. We're out of those screws for the curtain rod. That sentence was a tenderness in our house. We buy the right screws, we fix things. He came back with a pack of screws, a cardboard box and brown tape. I thought he was going to fix the rod as a way to not fix us. Instead he packed. He didn't take everything. He took enough to make a point. 3 days of clothes, his toiletries, the notebook he always writes in with those neat block letters. He left the cast iron pan he loves. He left the French press. He left the plant he named after a jazz musician, and waters with a mister in the mornings. He left his spare key on the counter beside a post-it that said, I won't fight you. I won't stay. I grabbed his wrist. Please, I said. Please don't go. Let me. He set my hand down on the counter like you put a glass down so it doesn't chip. I'm not doing a scene, he said, voice level. We're adults. I'm going to leave. I'll email you tonight with logistics. Please don't call. Email only. Just yell at me, I said, which is the most selfish request I have ever made. I'm not going to let you pick the ending you can live with, he said. I'm picking the ending I can live in. He left. The door latch clicked gently, because everything in our home worked the way he made it work. At 9:22 p.m., the email arrived. Subject: Logistics. Rent/utilities/lease. I'll be out tonight. I'll transfer my half of the rent through the end of the month. On the 1st, I'll remove my card from utilities. Please add yours before then to avoid interruption. Links below. The lease is month to month. If you want to stay, you can. If you want to terminate, we need to sign the 30-day notice by the 15th. Form attached. I'll pick up the rest of my things Saturday 10 to 12 with a friend. No need to be home. If this isn't convenient, propose 2 alternative windows by email. Please do not call or text. Email is fine for logistics. No explanations required. I won't engage them. He signed it with his first initial, like we were colleagues. I called anyway. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Green bubbles. I messaged him on Instagram, then remembered he doesn't use it. I opened Find My, saw the grayed out location not available, and nearly threw my phone. I emailed, please just talk to me. I'll tell you everything. I'll answer anything. He didn't reply. The next morning, I woke in a bed that felt like a crime scene, and did the only thing people like me know how to do when we lose control. I tried to manage the optics. I called his sister. He's okay, she said flat. He's with people who love him. Don't call me again about this. Click. I texted his best friend Jesse. Is he safe? Jesse, he's an adult. He'll contact who he wants. Don't triangulate through me. No flerist. I deserved the clean edge. At noon I went to his job with coffee as if caffeine could bribe the universe. The front desk called upstairs. HR came down instead. The woman had the kind of face that says, I've done this dance before. She handed me a sheet with their visitor policy highlighted and said kindly, he's asked for no contact here. There's nothing like being escorted to the sidewalk with your latte and your humiliation. That night, I called the non-emergency police line and asked. Sick with guilt. If they could do a welfare check. The dispatcher asked why. I said he left after I cheated and he won't answer. She said, ma'am, being hurt feelings is not being in danger. Adults can choose to be out of contact. If you have specific reasons to be concerned for his safety, we can send someone. I didn't. I hung up and then stared at my reflection in the black TV screen, like it might offer a different answer if I blinked the right way. He came Saturday during the window heat set. I left like he asked. When I returned, his drawer was empty, his side of the closet bare, the jazz plant gone. On the counter, my spare key in a Ziploc and another email printed on paper. Subject: Next step / no fault. I'll send a list of shared items and a proposal for division by Monday. Please respond by Friday with any changes. There's no need to involve friends or family. We can do this civilly. I've set mail forwarding for my name. If any mail arrives addressed to me, please write forwarding in place and drop at USPS. I do not consent to discussion about this with my employer, friends, or family beyond we're done. I will not be giving details. Please extend the same courtesy. No response needed unless logistical. The first person to say I deserved it was my aunt, who doesn't even like Luke. She called my mother after church and said, well, you dangle your hand near the stove enough times, you're going to get burned. My mother repeated that to me verbatim because my mother's weapon is also honesty. I'm not cutting you off, she said, but I'm not paying your phone bill anymore. You can afford your mistakes. My father, quiet, careful, said, stop trying to make contact. If he wants to be found, he'll be clear about it. Friends sorted themselves into camps. Maya, who has loved me since 8th grade, came over with Thai food and sat on my kitchen floor. I love you, she said, and I'm not going to help you violate his boundary. You can scream in this apartment all night. You cannot drive to his brother's house. 2 other friends sent me links to podcasts about winning him back, which I deleted like lemon juice on paper cuts. One mutual friend texted me a single sentence. He asked us not to get in the middle. Respect that. I threw my phone onto the couch so I wouldn't hurl it down the trash chute. At work, I gave the version that saved both our faces. We broke up. Different needs. No one asked for more, which made me both angry, asked me to confess so I can feel punished, and grateful, let me keep my job. 3 nights into the silence, I wrote Luke an email with the subject line no excuses, just facts. I told him the date, the time that I had gotten tested, that I understood, once is still a wrecking ball. I wrote, I won't call this a mistake. It was a choice. I betrayed you. I made you stage the exit for both of us because I didn't want to be the person who says, I don't deserve you anymore out loud. I hovered over send and considered what outcome I wanted. An answer? A fight? A chance to collapse in his lap like a penitent cliché? I deleted the email. I burned it in my head. Then I wrote a second version, subject, utilities / notice / Saturday window. I kept it to 3 bullet points and hit send. He answered within an hour. Received. Then 3 dots. Then nothing. The 3 dots became their own religion. I stopped sleeping. I caught myself replaying the live photo audio like a Rubik's Cube. If I hadn't airplayed, would we be okay? No. We would be dishonest. My therapist. Someone I've now paid enough that she could buy a plant and name it after my poor decisions. Asked, "What closure do you think he owes you?" I said, "An argument." She said, "He's giving you a boundary." I said, "It feels like punishment." She said, "It feels like consequence." I cried in the broom closet at work during lunch because the bathroom was full. On day 10 of silence, his final email landed. Subject: Final logistics/please stop contacting me outside email. I've moved to a sublet. Do not come by. Do not send mail. If you need to transfer any accounts, the info is attached. If you find any of my items, you may donate them. I won't be available for future conversations about us. Friends and family have been told not to pass messages. If you contact me through other channels, I will block and, if necessary, pursue a harassment restraining order. I prefer we never get there. I wish you a good life. Please respect mine. There was a line break, and then one more sentence like a signature he'd been thinking about for days. Adults can choose silence. It's not violence. I read it 20 times, hoping the letters would rearrange into "meet me at the coffee shop." They didn't. Weeks passed and people kept being normal in ways that felt offensive. My boss asked for the Q2 forecast. The building sent a notice that the water would be off Tuesday 9 to 12. My period came 2 days late, and I sat on the bathroom floor bargaining with a God I haven't talked to since I was 14. Negative. Relief felt like an accusation. I tried once. One last time. To force an ending I could sit inside. I printed a letter and walked it to his brother's house. I stood across the street with it in a manila envelope like I was auditioning for a role I should never get. I watched his brother come out with his kid and a soccer ball, and realized I didn't have the right to make a child part of my quest for absolution. I dropped the envelope in a public trash can and hated myself less for one decision that day. People say time heals, which is sentimental and lazy. Time distances. Healing is something else. Getting bored enough with your own story that you try a different one. I stopped telling the version where silence is cruelty and started telling the version where it is a boundary so clean it squeaks. I started washing the French press because I could imagine a morning where a decent person drinks coffee with me again and doesn't have to fear being made into a witness. When mutuals mentioned Luke, I didn't ask for details. One friend slipped and said, "He's lighter," and flinched like she expected me to throw a glass. I nodded. I don't get to be the person he is lighter without. 2 months in, Luke's sister emailed me a single line: "Please stop asking others to pass messages." I wrote back, "I won't. I'm sorry." And then I didn't. If you want a villain, I'm available. If you want a hero, it's him, but not the petty kind. Luke didn't blast me online. He didn't tell my mother. He didn't take a victory lap with a new girlfriend and a caption about self-worth. He just made decisions like a person who believes his peace is worth defending. Separate finances, a moving window, an email rule, a door left shut. He wins by refusing to perform for an audience I kept trying to sell tickets to. He wins by not becoming the angry ex, which would have made me feel better than this honest ache. I still talk through the apology sometimes. Quietly, making the air in my apartment less stale. I say, "I'm sorry I made you do the hard part because I was too afraid to own the ruin I created." I say, "Thank you for not teaching me a lesson by being cruel. Thank you for just leaving." I say it to a room. The room is very good at keeping secrets. My cousin asked me last week if I'd do anything differently. "All of it," I said, and we laughed, because what else can you do? If I ever love someone like that again, I want to behave like a person who understands that love isn't a set of fire drills you run to see who shows up with a hose. I want to keep my mouth honest enough that no one has to install a rule named after me just to feel safe. Luke will never read this. If he did, he'd probably email me a single word: "Received." Then he'd go water a plant named for a different jazz musician, and not think about me for the rest of the afternoon. That's the win. Not revenge. Not a better partner to parade. Just a life that doesn't include me, on purpose. And I, who wanted a fight, am finally quiet enough to hear what his silence has been saying all along. "You lost me. You don't get to script my exit.